Hi, ladies. I think I've got this figured out. It's only taken me 50 times, but we're getting it. So there you are. The screen should be showing the weeks that we had, and you can see all that. It's pretty self-explanatory. So I'm going to go through the things that are not necessarily on the slide, especially my notes. And I'm not going to necessarily go word for word from last night, but go over some of the things that were really important for us. The way we eat is a reflection of the way we live. And what's going on around you is crucial to how you're walking this journey. What are your coping mechanisms? If you've been on a roller coaster of losing and gaining weight, you might be using food as a coping mechanism. I know I have, so I understand. In this class, I'm going to teach you about the effects of certain foods on your body and on your health. And then we're going to dive into some of the why we eat what we eat and why we make the decisions that we do, and how we keep getting ourselves back in a ditch. If you've been on that roller coaster of losing and gaining, and I really don't want you to look at this 6 weeks as just a weight loss program. I want you to see these 6 weeks as an education and a launching of your journey to lifelong health. Okay. However, you will lose weight if you follow the principles and the things that I'm going to share. You definitely, if you are cutting carbohydrates and processed foods out of your diet, you won't help but lose weight. And I'm excited for what we have ahead of us, especially after last night being our first night. I'm encouraged. What an amazing group of women we have there. And I'm really looking forward to it. I really appreciate Dr. Eichhorn Wesley's help and input. He is, what a treat to think that we can do this class and have him right there with all of his knowledge and understanding. That's huge. And I really greatly appreciate it. So I want you to live beyond cravings and hunger. I want you to find peace with food. I believe God created your body for healing and wholeness. And when you feed it what it needs in relationship, excuse me, for how he created it, it will thrive, and you will thrive physically and emotionally, spiritually. When we focus on becoming metabolically healthy, we start to thrive. So who am I? Blah, blah, blah. You can see that. We went over all that. And then you can definitely read more on my website if you're interested. Sadly, according to a 2018 study, only 12% of Americans are metabolically healthy. I'm going to break down what that means, but I want you to see that statistically, 88% of Americans have metabolic syndrome at some level. And then another study was published in 2022 that was even more shocking. And it said that 6.8% of the adult population in America have optimal cardiometabolic health, which means our hearts are not healthy. Only 6.8% of the people have fully healthy hearts, which I'm sorry, I still have a hard time wrapping my head around that number, but I did see it in the research. I saw the papers, and it's saying that basically you have at least 2 or more markers of metabolic disorder, blood sugar, blood pressure, something in there. And we're going to break that down again in a minute. So I'm going to do a brief condensed history of how we got here as a nation. 1950s, post-war, smoking was being touted as healthy. President Eisenhower ends up having a heart attack, and it grips America with fear, and they wanted answers. Well, along comes a physiologist named Ansel Keys, and based on some flawed studies, and you can look it up if you want, it's the 7-country study. It vilified fat as the culprit, not heavy smoking, not bad diet, not the horrible oils that were being introduced into the diet. Nothing else. It was the food. It was the saturated fat. He surmised that because there was saturated fat in our arteries, it must have come from the saturated fat that we ate, even though our ancestors have been eating this way since the beginning of time. So fast forward and follow the money. Procter and Gamble, the makers of Crisco oil and shortening, supported the American Heart Association and underwrote much of the research of the saturated fats in our diet, coming up with heart healthy alternatives, which of course was extremely profitable for them. And evidence to the contrary, they didn't want to look at. They wouldn't even consider it. There were other studies and they really didn't want to look into it. So we ended up with this food pyramid. Heavy on grains and vegetables and fruits, and the least amount are animal proteins and healthy fats. Notice the recommendation of 6 to 11 servings of grain per day. So a lot of grain, and we talked about grain is profitable. A lot of people made a lot of money selling grain, and they still do. So if you look at the fields when you fly over, it's a lot of soy, it's a lot of grain, it's a lot of that. And we can't overlook the fact that that plays into what we're told. Even, we talked a little bit about different, big pharma and things like that too. So this is where we are. So metabolic health and obesity, worldwide obesity has tripled since 1975. Current obesity levels are over 40%. Almost 4 out of 5 people have symptoms of metabolic syndrome, which we talked about. Metabolic syndrome is a cluster of conditions that occur together, increasing your risk of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes and Alzheimer's. Many conditions are wrapped around this, and it's the conditions include increased blood pressure, high blood sugar, excess body waste or body fat around our waist, our circumference, and abnormal cholesterol or triglyceride numbers. So a healthy diet can help avoid blood sugar spikes, lowering your blood sugar and losing weight and taking care of those cholesterol numbers can all come together with a healthy diet, all of which can prevent or undo metabolic syndrome. And there's so many great stories I can't wait to get into of people reversing type 2 diabetes. And it is very possible with eating the right foods that we were created to eat to help us function correctly. This is the quote from Dr. Mark Hyman saying that the government recommendations released in 1980 promoted low-fat and high-carb diets that have catapulted us into the worst epidemic of obesity and diabetes in history. And it really is heartbreaking to see this state of a lot of us. And I say all this to we didn't really get into it much, and we will in the future, but the deck is stacked against us. So I don't want this being this is your fault. Well, all this food was bad, but you ate it. You know what? There are a lot of things at play, and this is not about blame. This is about acknowledging where we are, what's available to us in our food, what foods work best for our bodies, and taking care of ourselves and becoming metabolically healthy. So I really want to encourage you not to be frustrated or anything of where you are or where you've been. Okay. I love the quote by Nina Teicholz that says, grains are toxic and always have been. Human beings were not designed to eat grains, especially modern wheat. I heard, I was watching a video the other day, and they said that of 60,000 products in a grocery store, 59,000 of them, more than 59,000, have wheat in them. That's crazy. I mean, that's just crazy numbers. They said even Twizzlers has wheat in it. And I looked it up because I'm like, wait a minute, really? I looked it up. It's true. So sugar and carbs are true culprits behind type 2 diabetes, heart disease, many cancers, Alzheimer's, gout, PCOS, all those things. I've heard them say like PCOS is like diabetes of your ovaries, and Alzheimer's is like diabetes in your brain. And so it all has to do with insulin and blood sugar And that's what we're focused on. We're focused on food. And Wesley and I talked about, there's this whole new study about light, and I guess it's not really new, but it's really kind of up and coming, and talking about light and getting in daylight and getting our vitamin D from the daylight, and sleep, the importance of sleep and how that changes our health. And there's so many things, and stress, but we are going to really focus on food and then kind of go from there. And we have 6 weeks, so we don't have a lot of time, and an hour each week. So we're going to do our best to help you get, and at least get you the information that you need to look into the other things. But healthy fats, if we look at our food pyramid again, which provided much more efficient fuel source, was placed way at the top of that pyramid, and we're warned to eat them sparingly. We were told to replace saturated fats from animal products with inflammatory vegetable oils like canola and soybean that are made in factories. Pasta and oatmeal and rice became health foods, and fat got demonized, and that really has not done us well at all. It has truly done us a disservice. So here is a healthier pyramid, and this is a ketogenic, metabolically healthy food list. Basically, we're kind of flipping that upside down. We're looking more at the meats and proteins and healthy fats, and sparingly doing some of the more sugary fruits and things like that. And definitely unhealthy oils we want to avoid. So this is a breakdown of the different spectrum of a low carb diet. And I realized we didn't really go into this a whole lot, but the one on the far left is what you would call a ketogenic diet, which is based on 20 grams or less of carbohydrates in a day. So we're talking, a healthy meat and some fat and a vegetable. And then you kind of, as you can see, as you add on, as it goes to moderate and then to liberal, you're adding things like tomatoes, which are technically a fruit, which are higher in carbohydrate. And then you're adding strawberries and dark chocolates and nuts and things like that. So then you're getting more into that Mediterranean style diet. And like I said, I think a modified Mediterranean diet is a great way to go. Just pull the grains out of it and some of the sugar heavy fruits and stuff like that. And that's a really healthy way to live. So let's see. Eating a keto diet lowers insulin levels, often dramatically, which can help you access your body fat stores for energy. Now, Wesley did say, and it's very important, that if you are type 2 diabetic or you are on insulin, you really need to be monitored by someone, a doctor, someone who knows what they're doing as far as your insulin is concerned, because if you're taking insulin and you're lowering your carbs, you're not going to need as much insulin. So I don't think we had anyone in our group, but I really want to say that if you are, talk to me or talk to your doctor. And I don't want to oversee that, but maybe Wesley could help with that. And we'll talk about that. But like I said, I don't think anyone in our group is, but just in case anyone sees this who is on insulin, don't just lower your carbs and keep taking insulin. You really need to monitor that situation closely. It can be dangerous to go too low. So the other two on the two on the right are not ketogenic, but they are very healthy and could contribute to weight loss and improve blood glucose and insulin sensitivity over time. So definitely still good options. And let's look at that low carb pyramid again. You may have heard people refer to macros. Macros are just short for the word macronutrients, and that is nothing more than protein, fat, and carbohydrates. Three macronutrients that we need to focus on. And we're going to kind of dig into those. So let's look at protein. Proteins are made up of building blocks called amino acids. The amino acids are needed for growth and repair of our bodies. Protein does not create a rise in our blood sugar levels unless you have it in an extreme amount. Proteins, and it's very hard to do that because you get real full. Your brain turns on that switch that says you're full, and you won't generally greatly overeat proteins. Proteins are important for the structure, function, and regulation of the body's tissues and organs. Your body cannot really store protein, so it is required that you take in protein on a daily basis. Protein helps your body to maintain and build and repair muscle, bone, skin, hair, and organs, and to synthesize both enzymes and hormones in your body. Your body is a protein built machine. It needs protein to thrive. So examples of this are red meat, poultry, organ meats, pork, seafood, eggs, cheese, etc. Protein helps to make the body feel satiated, and it helps trigger our leptin receptors in our brain to tell us that we are full. And we did talk about this last night. You hear a lot about grass-fed beef, which is great if you can get it, but it is not necessary. And doctor talked about how now a cow is very capable of taking in nutrients and converting them to very healthy meat for us to eat. So it doesn't have to be the grass fed. And that was very much in layman's terms, but don't worry about it. If you're buying your meat at Walmart or Harding's, wherever you're getting it, just know that having meat and protein is especially red meat, is very healthy. So, don't worry about having to get the best. Just, it's much better that you're eating that than that you're eating processed foods filled with vegetable oils and stuff like that. So slide 14 are fats. We must shift our way of thinking about food, especially about fat. And I mentioned the 80s because if you were like me in the 80s trying to, for me, I was trying to lose baby fat back then after having kids. And, we were all doing the low fat diets, and we were eating sugar like crazy and avoiding the fat, and we were starving and it was miserable. That's not what I want for you. I don't want you to be hungry. I want you to find a way of eating that is healthy for your body, that is satiating, that makes you feel full and satisfied. Okay. Research proves dietary fat does not make you fat, but dietary fat deeply impacts health and well-being. Fat satiates us and keeps us fuller for longer periods of time. Fat helps grow our brain and other vital organs. Being deficient in healthy fats has an impact on our emotional and overall health. Fat deficiencies affect our hormones, our immune system, our digestive system, our skin health, our weight, and our ability to deal with stress. And sometimes I'm like, I'm just feeling overwhelmed and in stress, and I'm like, I need some walnuts. I just need a little, quarter cup of walnuts, just because I know I've always remembered this, that a walnut looks like a brain and it's good for your brain. So that's one of those things that has always stuck with me. But fat deficiencies can adversely affect your mood, your cognitive health, and your behavior and overall brain function, which makes perfect sense considering our bodies, including our brains, are made up of fat. Every cell membrane is partly made of fat, and we must have healthy dietary fat for our body to function properly. Historically, we ate mostly wild foods, which were very rich in healthy fats and omega-3s like wild fish and animals, and very limited amounts of inflammatory omega-6 foods. So fat helps our body feel satiated like protein, and it also helps trigger that leptin receptor in our brain telling us we are full. And I really love this quote from Nina, this other quote, and it is, what I found incredibly was not only that it was a mistake to restrict fat, but also that our fear of the saturated fats in animal foods, butter, eggs, and meat have never been based in solid science. So we're going to follow the science, right? But not all fats are good. And here are some examples of unhealthy ones. And, you're talking your canola, your soybean, your corn oil, sunflower oil, cottonseed oil, safflower oil, grapeseed oil, and rice bran oil. And I'm amazed how many things these are in. We're going to become label, fanatics, and we're going to be reading labels on things, and you're going to learn a lot about these oils are everywhere, like almost all the dressings. So a lot of times I make my own dressings and stuff like that. We'll get into that next week, probably. Industrial manufacturers use high temperatures, mechanical pressure, chemical deodorizers, and petroleum-based solvents to extract oils from seeds. This effectively strips the oil of any beneficial nutrients and antioxidants while creating harmful trans fats. Seed oils, aka vegetable oils, of which there are no vegetables, actually come from seeds and beans, and they are not natural. You cannot squeeze oil out of a seed like you can from an olive or coconut, where you can cold press them. And I would encourage you, if you get olive or coconut oil, to get cold pressed virgin oils. And even that, unfortunately, sometimes in the stores, especially olive oils, are going to have other things in the other oils mixed in there. It's kind of frustrating, but beef tallow, butter, those are also good options. I know animal fat products are really great for good, healthy saturated fats. But these oils are basically fake foods. All right. These oils cause oxidative stress in our body, and that is not good for us. It causes all kinds of damage to tissues, to our organs. It results in different kinds of diseases, including many autoimmune disease. And it leads to inflammation throughout our bodies, especially our arteries. And inflammation in our bodies is the beginning of basically all disease in our bodies, cancers, whatever it would be. So, and I had this, and I was just giving you an example of the fact that they both have the same amount of carbs. And Wesley and I both pointed out too that although they are different in that in the cantaloupe, obviously you're getting fiber, it's going to metabolize a little slower because of that fiber, but it still is going to spike your blood sugar. Okay. So I wanted to get across the point that carbohydrates, while not exactly equal, they do all affect your blood sugar substantially. So those both have the same amount of carbs in them. Carbohydrates are chains of sugar linked together. All carbohydrates turn into sugar in the body, including grains, fruits, and vegetables. And vegetables like carrots and potatoes that are grown underground are going to have higher amounts of carbohydrates. And you want to learn that. You want to know where that's coming from. And one of you asked me, text me and asked about oatmeal today and said, what about steel cut? Well, unfortunately, steel cut and regular oats, same carbohydrates. I think it's 27 in a cup. And the steel cut might metabolize a little slower. Still kind of a sugar bomb, which stinks. I get it. Fat and protein. Okay. Sorry. As carbs break down in the body, they raise blood sugar levels. Most processed foods and drinks are very high in carbohydrates. So the stuff they always say on the inside of the store, or if it's in a box, chances are there's lots of carbs. You've got to read the labels and look, even when it says keto, especially when it says keto, because there's a lot of marketing out there. They want to make money on you. Well, protein and fat are essential macronutrients, meaning your body will not make them if you don't take them in, and you will die without them. Carbohydrates are not. So you don't have to worry that what I'm not getting enough carbs. If you need glucose, your body is burning fat for fuel and you've got ketones, your liver will make all the glucose that you need. Your body knows how to run very efficiently without carbohydrates. So I'm not saying never eat a vegetable or fruit. Absolutely not. I'm just saying especially these products on this page, if you never had another one again, you'd be just fine and you'd probably be way healthier. So I don't think there's any big surprises on that page, and we kind of went over all that. Next slide is our quote by Mr. Gary Taubes, who is just an amazing person in this field, in the ketogenic field. Any book you get by him is going to be great. He said the simple answer as to why we get fat is that carbohydrates make us so. Protein and fat do not. Here are two of the books that he's written, The Case for Keto and his latest book, Rethinking Diabetes. Look quick at the healthy low carb pyramid again. This is our focus. Next week, we're going to get into some of the amazing benefits, more benefits of the ketogenic diet and some specifics with meal ideas and shopping lists. But for now, this week, let's focus on eating less processed foods, less sugar, less sugary drinks, absolutely for sure, and focusing on proteins and healthy fats. Okay. I did give you that sheet to do a food log so you can write down, and this is for you. This is for you to realize, because a lot of times we just don't see it or realize it until we're actually like, oh, when I write this down, yeah, now I'm paying attention. I'm noticing how much I'm grabbing snacks here and there. And I didn't realize that until I had to start writing down or putting into my carb manager or whatever app you're using to keep track of your food log. We just don't realize all that, they actually call it carb creep, like it kind of starts to creep up, creep in there. So it's really, I think, helpful to pay attention to that. Writing down is a powerful way to take control back of what you eat. And in fact, and I didn't get this last night, but in 2008, the Kaiser Center for Health Research conducted a study of 1,700 people, reporting that those who were trying to start a healthier lifestyle and kept a food journal for 6 months lost twice as much weight as those who didn't. So it's a powerful tool, and I hope that you use it. Next slide, eat better, not perfect. This is not a perfect journey, you guys. It's not about trying to be perfect. It's about doing better. And every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Who do you want to be? Because you're not going to get there just by hoping to be that person. And I look forward to getting into more of the psychology behind that too. That's going to be good. Here are some resources on my website at praiseandcoffee.com. You can look on my resource tab and see a lot of information. There's actually 2 drop downs under that resource tab that you can check out. And then there's some books here that you can check out. And then I just had, God created your body to function well. And even when we've caused damage, a lot of the time we just need to give our body the right nutrients it needs to operate the way He created it to. He's the author of new beginnings and countless chances. As a believer, I'm strengthened to know that God has a purpose for my life and for your life. And I don't want sickness in either of our bodies to get in the way of that, because God has things for you. He has a life for you. He has people for you to touch and reach. And this was one that I put in our group today, but I didn't get it out last night. And it's a quote that says, new goals don't deliver new results. New lifestyles do. And a lifestyle is a process, not an outcome. For this reason, all the energy should go into building better habits, not chasing better results. So with all that being said, I just want to say, thanks for listening, and I appreciate you guys, and I am excited for next week. Feel free at any point to reach out on our page through email. If you have I think my phone number is in most of the emails. You can text me if you want. I want to help you on this journey. But this truly is your journey. So I want you to also take the reins and start doing the things that are going to make the difference for your life. Because ultimately, I could hold your hand through the whole thing, and then what? I want to hold your hand and encourage you to start taking those steps and making the choices that are going to make a difference in your life and make your life better. So thanks. And hopefully I did all of this correctly and it worked. Have a great week.